Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, call William La, Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Shalom Yahushai, Bashem Hakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone, peace, citation, hope for elect. Shalom. So this video is going to be Esau's a mad scientist. So as you can see, other than the newly created beast that they're trying to develop through, animal testing and doing, animal research and experimenting on animals with their genes, trying to, you know, replace certain genes and trying to put this, the newly developed fetus inside of a surrogate animal to make a new, to make a newly created animal through their wicked, evil science. They also do like other experiments as well to animals, and they will do this in other countries too. Their wicked, evil experiments using testing their technology. You will hear of a term called test monkey and lab rats. And because those are the animals they mostly focus on. They also did experiments on dogs, and other animals too. Like, it could even be livestock too, because Esau's sick. And even pigs, they have done, like putting technology inside them, like what Tesla did. So let me just get this out. It says 5 extremely unnecessary and inhumane experiments done on animals. So, and this is the article. I don't think I want to read through it too much, but let me see. They even drilled holes in monkey skulls. And it says up here in the first one, they did eye and skin irritation tests. They said not only does the practice alone horrific and stressful, but in order to make the monkeys compliant, researchers starved them. As with many other animal tested experiments, these findings are not applicable to humans and are only used to satisfy the sick curiosity of the researchers. These experiments are not exclusive to this lab, nor are they exclusive to monkeys. For example, until 2015, University of Madison, Wisconsin was conducting similar experiments on cats. Luckily, after a successful pet campaign, they vowed to end their cruel studies, giving hope to other animal rights activists. And just because one company stops or whatever, sometimes they go right back to doing the same shit, or they have another company doing the same shit as them. But it's like sometimes they also will try to back it up of saying that the reason why they do animal research or whatever because they claim that there's so much sicknesses. Well, to start off, number one, Esau is the one that's creating all these newly developed diseases. On a higher level, it is the Heavenly Father using Esau on the left hand side, but Esau is a devil, so he has his purpose, and when the Most High makes some, have creations, he, has purposes for each creation. Esau is the purpose of being a destroyer, and that's the reason why he's not meant to rule this earth. Because if you really wanted to heal the people, you could. There's so much new, there's so much information that it's starting to be released more often. It's starting to pretty much see it on Instagram, and, people starting to wake up to this healthcare system. They're starting to realize that natural health is actually better than going to the hospitals and relying on the doctors, and holistic doctors are, best people of basically curing any type of, diseases or any sicknesses. And Esau, what he do is like he will study, do animal research and doing animal testing to test them with diseases, giving them injections and shots. And he does the same thing with people, with actual humans. And damn well if he's gonna do it to the animals, he's gonna definitely do it to humans too. This man has no, and vice versa. He has, and he's gonna even do it with bugs too. He does it, you know. This man is like, he's known for being a devil for a reason. And he, even with the Tuskegee experiment, it says breeding diseases. This is what they do. Same thing I've been saying. So they said the practice of breeding animals with diseases, specifically in their cases, breeding dogs with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Breeding dogs with terminal diseases is cruel enough, but these dogs will never know a loving, comforting home. They spend their lives in cold, metallic cages with their only contact being the lab researchers who subject them to intrusive examinations. Although the researchers claim their goal is noble, seeking a cure for this disease, their efforts have been fruitless and don't show much promise. And that's a spirit, because I didn't even read this article yet. But, it's like what I've been saying. They be testing on people and animals, like trying to find a way to develop maybe a vaccine for the disease or whatever, something to treat the disease, But what they're actually trying to develop is they're trying to develop a way to treat it while it's not killing you, to keep it in you, but it's not killing you. You know what I mean? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep it and make you sustain with it to keep you alive. It may make you a little sick here and there, but you're going to have to keep taking some medication or whatever so they can profit off of you more. That's how it is. They're not trying to heal you once, because if they heal you once, they're just like you're one and done. Once you're healed, you don't have to go back and forth to the hospitals. See? This is the cruel test that they do. Some animals can't even enjoy getting outside of those cages like that unless they're being experimented on. Esau don't understand. In the kingdom of heaven, we're going to do a whole bunch of experimentations on you. And this is just like a little bit of the stuff. I haven't even gotten to the gruesome parts of the experiment. And this says, in fact, over 70,000 beagles are tested on each year in the United States. Some of these tests include poison experiments shown in the video above. Like all lab animals, these dogs live their lives inside metallic cages and forced to undergo horrific procedures. The experiments shown in the video above included forced ingestion of poisonous substances, grotesque surgeries, device implants. Fortunately, the company funding these experiments has stopped testing on dogs. However, many labs across the world with similar practices continue. Just like I said, if one company stops, the others are not going to stop. They're not going to take heed. And even if they stop for a little season and they go right back to doing the same shit, But that's if people are aware of these things. But most of the time, people are so distracted with social media, they're distracted with the lust of this world, And eventually, you're gonna see these same animals. They're gonna get tired of being experimented on, tired of being in these zoos, tired of being basically taken advantage of by this devil Esau. They're tired of basically being whipped by Esau in the zoos, being circus animals, like doing circus tricks and all that shit. They're gonna start, because there are even times where there's circus animals like that have been known for basically turning on their trainers, and that's judgment right there. Zookeepers, zoos going wrong or circus shows going wrong, and the animals are pretty much getting tired of being, mistreated. They're tired of being taken advantage of. They're tired of people looking at them and basically being entertained by the acts that they have to be mistreated to keep doing. Like they keep doing an act or whatever, they have to get whipped a certain amount of times to stand up for very long hours, periods of time. They're tired of that shit. They said mice/rat test. Yeah, rats are usually famously known for being tested on in monkeys. It says because of their small size, short lifespans, and ability to reproduce quickly, rats and mice are widely used throughout scientific research, with more than 100 million of them dying each year in the name of scientific discovery. Wow. So Esau's even killing 100 million rats. I could only imagine how much humans he gets, killed. And it says, however, as you can see in the video above, many of the experiments are cruel and add nothing to the body of scientific research. These poor animals are given painful tumors and illnesses, put on hot plates, subject to unnecessary amputations, and given surgery without proper anesthesia. So you see, you know what that means, right? That means if you're not given proper anesthesia, that means that you might either pretty much die if you take too much anesthesia, because it pretty much knocks you out to keep you unconscious to the point where your nerves are can't pick up on the pain. So basically your body's not going to feel any pain during the surgical procedure. And that means that he's pretty much torturing those animals. If they're, they might either feel pain or they might have too much anesthesia to die or whatever. They're not given the proper amount. And it says rats and mice are also often used in university classroom labs so students can replicate previous studies. This practice is completely redundant and unnecessary. Scientific findings can easily be taught and learned without the exploitation, torture, and death of the animals. And rats are like an abominable, they're like a filthy animal to even, touch and experiment on. Man. You see, and this is the thing about Esau. And you see that's why in Jeremiah, these animals are going to really start doing some crazy judgment upon these Edomites. Mainly, they coming for you Edomites mainly. They also coming for some heathens and because they follow after Edomites and even some 2/3 out in the street. So yeah, they're gonna start doing some crazy judgment. So all those animal horror movies that you see, don't get me wrong, it's actually predicted in the Bible. You know. So when Esau's show on TV, just let you know that's actually a predictive program. Just food for thought, for spiritual, thought. So this is taking suffering out of science. Together we can reduce and eventually eliminate harmful animal testing and research. Each year, more than 25 million dogs, cats, monkeys, horses, guinea pigs, and other animals are forced to endure painful experiments in the United States. Animals are deliberately sickened with toxic chemicals or infected with diseases, live in barren cages, and are then killed when the experiment ends. Humans and animals are very different, so animal experiments often produce inaccurate or unusable results. Well, it's the same thing for humans as well because they look at us like as cattle. These higher elites, like these higher level, these higher level Edomites, they look at us as, what's the term? They look at us as like heathens, like goyim. They don't look at us as like as actual people. They look at us as like we're servants, like we're cattle. And like if they're the chosen people, that's how they look at it. Because the actual term for goyim will be goyam, which is heathen nation. Any nation that's other than the nation of Yasharahla. And they will pretty much like, look at it like they need to basically capitalize off of us. And they need to, that they could do whatever they want because they feel like they're the chosen people. And they're not. But they know who the real chosen people are, but they're just trying to like push that that lie, that deception out there because basically 2/3 of our people look at Esau like he's God. And all right. So pretty much that's what I want to get out of this. And these are like animal testing facts and alternatives. It says right now millions of mice, rats, rabbits, primates, primates, cats, dogs, and other animals are locked inside barren cages in laboratories across the country. They languish in pain, suffer from extreme frustration, ache with loneliness, and long to be free. Instead, all they can do is sit and wait in fear of the next terrifying and painful procedure that will be performed on them. The complete lack of environmental enrichment and the stress of their living situation cause some animals to develop neurotic types of behavior, such as incessantly spinning in circles, rocking back and forth, pulling out their own fur, and even biting themselves. After enduring a life of pain, loneliness, and terror, almost all of them will be killed. Exactly, and you see, this is all just to show how Esau is the wicked, and basically, we gotta do 1,000, 2,000 times to him in the kingdom. So all these experiments and torture things is gonna look like you're watching Sesame Street compared to how we're gonna do Esau. It may be bad right now, but watch, Esau's gonna go through extreme worse. It says there are many non-animal test methods that can be used in place of animal testing. Not only are these non-animal tests more humane, they also have the potential to be cheaper, faster, and more relevant to humans. While some of the experimentation conducted on animals today is required by law, most of it isn't. In fact, a number of countries have implemented bans on testing of certain types of consumer goods on animals, such as the cosmetic testing bans in the European Union, India, Israel, New Zealand, Norway, and elsewhere. Millions of animals suffer and die in testing, training, and other experiments. More than 100 million animals suffer and die in the U.S. every year in cruel chemical, drug, food, and cosmetics tests, as well as in medical training, exercises, and curiosity-driven medical experiments at universities. Animals also suffer and die in classroom biology experiments and dissection, even though modern non-animal tests have repeatedly been shown to have more educational value, save teachers time, and save schools money. Exact numbers aren't available because mice, rats, birds, and cold-blooded animals, who make up more than 99% of animals used in experiments, are not covered by even the minimal protection of the Animal Welfare Act, and therefore go uncounted. Examples of animal tests include forcing mice and rats to inhale toxic fumes, force feeding dogs pesticides, and dripping corrosive chemicals into rabbits' sensitive eyes. Even if a product harms animals, it can be still marketed to consumers. Conversely, just because a product was shown to be safe in animals does not guarantee that it will be safe to use in humans. You see, and that's another thing too. That's how Esau fucks with the food. He fucks with the, your daily products that you use to in your deodorants and all that other shit. It could be animal tested products and chemicals in it that they've actually tested on animals to test on humans. This man is the harbinger of death. I even made a scripture. I mean, not Slaki. I even made a video about that and brought out the precepts on that. Look at this, what this poor cat is going through. And yeah, but they claim that there's alternatives that they can do, basically to which is more humane, and there's actually a way to basically to ban these cruel, inhumane acts that these people are using to test on animals. Yeah. And this is for a lot of you stupid two-third niggas that claim you love this devil Esau so much. This is what they were doing, these evil experiments. So they said medical progress saved lives, but sometimes scientists let the hope of a breakthrough get in the way of ethics. For instance, the U.S. government issued a formal apology to Guatemala for the experiments done there in 1940s that involved infecting prisoners and individuals with mental illnesses with syphilis. The Guatemala Project is just one of many terrible experiments done in the name of medicine. Some ethical lapses are mistakes by people sure they're doing the right thing. Other times, they're pure evil. Here are 8 of the worst experiments on human subjects in history, separating triplets. Okay, trying to move this side. Okay. And Nazi medical experiments. And this is the time of Japan, basically during the I think it was pretty much during the time when Japan and America had beef, basically. I think this is the time when they were, doing chemical warfare or some shit. Let me see. Oh, they also, I think, they also experimented on prisoners too. Let me see. Prisoners will march in freezing weather and then experimented on to determine the best treatment for frostbite. Yeah. Because they were also in the internment camps during the time of World War, I think it was World War II. Yeah. And then, pretty much they will also look, the Japanese people back then, I mean, even though they were heathens, they were also looked at as, what you call it? If they come to this country or whatever during the time of World War II, they were thought to be spies, so they put them in the concentration camps. But look, they got their reparations, and the funny thing is, all these other heathens, when Esau pretty much had something against them, they get back their reparations. We haven't gotten back shit, And look what they did to us. They did all type of experiments to us, and even in slavery, and even I think during the time of segregation, they did some shit to us. They did plenty of shit to us during the time of segregation, after we were free. And they even tried to do false accusations on us just for us to be in jail. They even tried, because they're the accused of our brethren, so they will lie and make false accusations. And you can't say nothing against a white jury because basically they're already biased, They're fucking dick riders. And they will lie. They will stick with that lie. And they will have every right to basically put you on death row. They even did that to that little kid. I brought that out in one of the videos about my other channel about Esau's a false accuser of our brethren. Killed that little kid. I think his name was George Stinney or something. I think something like that. But he was a little I think 12-year-old kid that died on death row getting electrocuted, all because he was claimed to basically rape some, I think killed 2 little girls when he didn't even have a car and he was so small and helpless. Like, what the fuck could he do? That's Esau for you. But it says they were put in chambers until their eyes popped out. They were dosed with poisonous gas and even dissected while alive and conscious. After the war, the U.S. government helped keep the experiment secret as part of a plan to make Japan a Cold War ally, according to the Times report. Yeah, and then during those times, even in the media, they used propaganda to push a hatred against Japan, you know. And they even, like, during that time of World War II, they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki to show their real power. And after that, they know not to fuck with America. And then they during in the media, like you will see in movies like pretty much Breakfast at Tiffany's or whatever, they will make fun of this, there was some Japanese guy or whatever, they will make fun of how he has some big old funny teeth, because they made fun of Japanese people at that time. And when you like how they make back during the times when we was in segregation, how they made fun of Jake from the Southern Kingdom mainly. Yeah, how they make fun of them, making them a byword and laughing stock. Yeah, that's how they did with the Japanese. And this is the monster study. Let me see. I'm not gonna really read everything. But these are studies on basically on like they were trying to learn. Let me see. Speech pathologists at the University of Iowa set out to prove their theory that stuttering was a learned behavior caused by a child's anxiety about speaking. So they wanted to learn how to prevent stuttering in a way. And let me see. And these are just all Edomites. Look, surgical experiments on slaves. So you see, this is a whole Edomite right here, because only an Edomite would do some shit like that. Look, it says Sims remained a controversial figure to this day because the condition he was treating in the woman, vesico vaginal fistula, caused terrible suffering in women with fistulas. A tear between the vagina and bladder were incontinent and were often rejected by society. Sims performed the surgeries without anesthesia, so that means they were feeling the pain, in part because anesthesia had only recently been discovered, and in part because Sims believed the operations were not painful enough to justify the trouble, as he said in the 1857 lecture. Arguments still rage as to whether Sims patients would have consent to the surgeries had they been entirely free to choose. Nonetheless, wrote University of Alabama social work Professor Durenda Ojanuga in the Journal of Medical Ethics in 1993, Sims manipulated the social institution of slavery to perform human experimentations, which by any standard is unacceptable. In the Guatemala syphilis study. Can't forget that one. And most of all, the Tuskegee study. The researchers tracked the progression of the disease in 399 black men in Alabama. 201 elderly men were also followed, telling them they were being treated for bad blood. In fact, the men never got adequate treatment. Even in 1947, when penicillin became the drug of choice to treat syphilis, it wasn't until a 1972 newspaper article exposed the study to the public eye that officials shut it down. In the Stanford prison experiment. So he set up a prison. So wait, Philip Zimbardo, a professor, set up a prison and paid college students to play guards and prisoners who inevitably seemed to transform into abusive guards and hysterical prisoners. The 2-week experiment was shut down after just 6 days because things turned chaotic fast. In only a few days, our guards became sadistic and our prisoners became depressed and showed signs of extreme stress, Zimbardo writes on his website. Wow. Let me see. The guards pretty much from the get-go, treated prisoners awfully, humiliating them by stripping them naked and spraying their bodies with the loosened chemicals and generally harassing and intimidating them. That's crazy. You see, and this is the devil Esau for you. And for the most part, like, most of the experiments they were doing was on, basically Jake, you know. They were doing these things. And for the Tuskegee experiment, they were like, yo, we give you free food or free, they claim they'll give you free things or whatever if you just take the test. And that's pretty much how they're doing with COVID-19. They gonna give you that stimulus check. Oh, they give you, that little money basically for you to take the test. And that's just right there. Like, that stimulus check is pretty much a gift that destroys the heart, It destroys your mind because you're like, you're thinking that Esau will he really looking out for you, and that he's gonna always keep doing this for me. No, he's not. He's just doing it just so that you could fall along right in his snares, in his traps. So as much as he tortures animals, he also tortures, humans, like, pretty much like for the most part, he will torture like Jake and shit, and then he's even shown that he was torturing the heathens, like, the Ammonites, which are Japanese. But I don't give a fuck about them. But some of them that were sent to the military, some of them could be Jakes too. You never know, because there's speckled bird Israelites all around. So Habakkuk 2:4 says, "Behold, his soul is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who large of his desire is hell. Exactly, because his desire is basically to cause more hell than he does. He just wants to increase the temperature of his hell. He wants to always keep adding more affliction, mainly to Jake, and even to his own people. That's how stupid he is, and then to these other heathen nations. That's why they want to blow this fucking country up so bad. And as death, yeah, because the shit that he do is deadly, his experiments, his basically his New World Order agendas, his everything this man thinks is just like, he deviseth wickedness. He can't sleep unless he do something wicked. It tells you in the book of I think it was Micah, the 2nd chapter, and it says, "And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." So it tells you Proverbs 12:10 says, "A righteous man regardeth the life of his beasts, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel." Exactly. So you see those animals going crazy, those animals losing their minds, those animals hurting themselves, like, because it's like even the monkeys will pull their hair off, they said, and animals will spin in circles, beating themselves around the cages and shit like that, because it's like they're going through so much pain, and the only thing that's on their mind is like they can only hope and pray for a better procedure that's not going to be as painful as the last one was. You see? And very soon, there's going to be a point in time when these animals are just going to come out and give judgment upon these fucking devils, Esau. And even that, the Most High knows their spirit. So all the wicked shit they be doing to these animals, every single animal is going to have their judgment. And in the kingdom, especially that, because it's going to be 1,000 years that this devil is going to be in captivity. And, when Esau does his wickedness, these heathens, they follow along too, because they're like Esau's henchmen, They're his henchmen as well under him, and basically they're gonna serve judgment too, and they're gonna get tortured by these animals too, and we're gonna be experimenting on these fucking Edomites mainly, and these other heathens are gonna we're gonna have so much torture games for these fucking devils, man. That movie Saw is gonna look like a fucking playground compared to what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some godly level torture. We're going to torture you beyond 1,000 times what the Romans done, what the Greeks done, what the conquistadors done, what any mortal man has ever done on this earth is going to be way far. We're going to torture you as immortal gods. Can you imagine that type of torture? Ecclesiastes 12 verse 10, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." How does Esau want you to trust him? Let's see. I could give you some money if you take the vaccine, or if you take the microchip, we could give you benefits for. You see, and this is how the devil Esau works. He'll give you a small benefit, and then he'll try something even better. Oh, you could get this job for 6 figures once you take the microchip. You could watch. You gonna might have some jakes that might sell out and do that shit. But you know, oh, and then another thing they do is they take they've been starting to do that shit. You know, a few years ago, microchipping pets. You know, microchipping animals, and that shit is not good. And you know, it would, and Esau would try to make he would show you the good benefits of the wicked shit that he do. He would show you that there's always a good thing about it, that humans are not dying from it automatically, that it's helping you to find lost animals. But yeah, that's pretty much this devil Esau for you. You're not ever supposed to trust him. You know, all the snares that he lays up is basically everything is going towards his eat wicked agenda. And this might be the last scripture I bring out. I don't want to make this video way too long than it should. It says, Proverbs 16, verse 4, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. Exactly. So, you're already seeing Esau doing his wickedness. Like, you'll see articles about it. It will be basically hidden to the public eye what they do. So we can't we will hear about it. We will see the articles written about it, the reports, but just for you to actually be there to witness it, or what they do in the Bohemian Grove, what they do in the for this whole Pizzagate event, like this whole basically all the shit that they do, all the horrific tragic things that they do. Yeah. And what you call it, yeah, pretty much the rest of his scandalous events is like the shit that he does behind closed doors and how he doesn't reveal it to the public. People just learning these things that, oh, Esau does this. Well, they think that Esau is supposed to be called like a white man or whatever, or Caucasian, when in fact he's an Edomite, he's Esau. But Jake is not all the way woke yet, so they just learning these things that Esau is the Illuminati's doing this and that. Man, they've been doing this shit for centuries, for years, man. They've been doing their wickedness for decades. And brother's been saying that, there's a time period that we're coming into. It's going to be way worse than the transatlantic slave trade. The time period in Jacob's trouble is going to be worse than, because, and you think about it, Esau is increasing his arsenal. He's increasing his military power, his sword, so to say, which is his technology, his artificial intelligence, his weaponry, all that shit. Esau's really increasing it. He's upping his game with that. This man is mastering his sword every fucking day and mastering the use of it. They're going to have super soldiers to be able to rip you limb from limb, literally, because they're going to have that type of power to break down your doors that's heavily guarded and locked up. They don't, Esau's going to have a whole military troops come in like SWAT teams to basically shoot you niggas down, even snatch you niggas up to take you to an experiment lab where they could experiment on you niggas. And basically what they're going to do, they're going to take you fucking, you 2/3 scoffers and scorners. They're going to experiment on you and cut you open like you're an animal. And I didn't really get out this picture. I don't get it out. But there's also animals that have experimented on, like in Russia, they did a 2-headed dog experiment, but one of the dogs died, I think within about a week or so, like a couple of days, because he wasn't the original host of the body. He was just like a support, but they did an experiment to see how long that other head stay alive, and you see, and that's pretty much like crazy. And Esau's gonna be doing experiments like that to you Jakes, and the Most High is gonna put the spirit on y'all fucking wicked ass bitches and you niggas when they fucking cut you open and pretty much fuck with your intestines while you're alive and torture you. You're gonna see pretty much, because there's a brother from GMS San Diego that mentioned that there was bald-headed scientists that have artificial intelligence, and they were like kind of like cyborg, like they were also like, he had a vision of a dream that he was delivered from that they were kind of tormenting him. He didn't feel but he was alive. He didn't feel it. It was like an out of body experience, and that shit is crazy. you know, that they were experimenting on him, but he was delivered from it. He had all his organs back. He mentioned it was just a dream, you know. And, you know, how much more you wicked niggas that scoff and scorn against this truth, you know. Esau, he loved to experiment on, you know, he's been doing this shit for a decades ago. You know, I can understand if it was centuries ago and he never did it, you know, in a couple of decades or so. But nah, he's still doing these things right behind your closed, you know, doors. And the thing is that you're hearing reports about it and you're thinking that this devil Esau has changed. He's still the same wicked nigga that he was since the day he was created. Since the day the Heavenly Father made him, from as Esau and even as Cain and even as a fucking serpent. You know? He's not made to be right. You know? They said this man in Hebrews the 12th chapter verse 16, he's the profane, you know, and in Job 30th chapter, they're violent, these Edomites are viler than the earth. They're the basis of all men, the children of fools. This is why, let's go into this. Let's get this out. Spirit just, you know, sorry, it's hitting me. Psalms 17 verse 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from the men of the world which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. Exactly. You know, they leave their substance for their children, and then, you know, they got their fucking, what you call it? They got their technology to basically torture you, you know, you jakes out there, to experiment on you like you're some form of animals or whatever. They even had technologies where they're able to mind control animals. I've seen some videos of that MK Ultra program. Like, they were able to mind control and test animals with their technology, and they actually kind of did work, you know, pretty much worked. So imagine how much more they're going to take you jakes out there, put you in indoctrination programs. You ever seen the movies where they put you, or the cartoons where they put you in a chair, tie you up, have your eyelids open forcefully and watching things that you don't want to, you know, how they're going to experiment on your ass. That's literally what your 2/3 going to have to go through. And the Most High gonna make y'all motherfuckers feel every bit of fucking pain that you put the men of the Lord through. You want to put us through mental pain, spirit. You know, you're gonna put the Most High gonna put you through carnal pain. He's gonna show you why you should fear him and why you shouldn't fuck with him and his men. Psalm 59 verse 2, deliver me from the workers of iniquity and save me from bloody men. For lo, they lie in wait for my soul. The mighty are gathered against me, but not from my transgression, nor from my sin, O Lord. Exactly. You know, you got Edomites and you got these other heathens that's plotting for, you know, they're wishing that Jake go off, you know, at the time. And King David was in rulership, so like they, you know, because when Jake go off, these heathens, they rejoice and they take a chance and, you know, kick our asses and put us in captivity. Yeah, and then when you look into it, right? What you call it? Well, I already said what I have to say on that, but Most High is gonna get you a lot of you 2/3 niggas for being scoffers too. You know, scoffing against this truth. You know, most likely if you don't care about this truth, you act like the Most High is non-existent, and you trust in oppression more than you trust in the Heavenly Father. And guess what? For trusting oppression, you're gonna have to trust the same devil that's gonna potentially torture you, put you in concentration camps. Because even if you have watched some of the videos, they consider you as and label you as as a potential terrorist. So they could take you in a concentration camp and torment on you willingly. They could do that shit. They could take you and torture you. So how you like those fucking apples? So much for you scoffing against the truth and talking shit and making scoffing mockery videos and clipping and editing the videos to try to make misunderstandings and misconceptions about this truth, and trying to expose your so-called, if you believe in that, it's that the brothers are hypocritical, and in fact you just have no understanding of the truth. But yeah, but that's what I want to get on that, and I hope it made that lesson edifying. Let's give all glory and praises honor to Adonai Yahweh Bashim Shalom Malak Yahshua Bashim Kakdash. The bonus of the apostle Elsewhere Millstone, peace I see is for that. Yahbashim Yashah Shalak Yam Arawam Yam Wa Goayam Wa Abad Babal Shalom.